Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson from Glenda's Dragon's Den, and just want to say welcome. Tonight, we're doing the podcast just a little different than our normal format. Larry, or LD, is he's on a mission. I like to send him every once in a while on a mission. So, tonight, we're going to do questions and answers and discussion and all that. So, Ashley, one of my students, is has had some questions that she's been here uh, waiting to ask. So she's going to be reading the questions that she has, and she's also going to be reading any questions that are in the chat room. So if anybody has any questions, put them up, and then we may not be able to get all of them, but we will definitely try to get all of them. How's that? Right, Ashley?
That's right.
Yeah, we're doing good here. Thank you, Ashley, for doing this.
Of course.
And so, welcome everyone. And tonight is kind of interesting because it's January 10th. And for some reason, before we start, I've been um, dreaming January 10th since June of last year. So it's very interesting that today, on January 10th, which I didn't even realize, I didn't even look it up in the calendar, is this different style of show. So let's welcome some of the people that are there in the chat, like Mandy, Joe, Lisa. Thank you for being here. Okay, Ashley. I know I'm stalling, ain't I?
No, it's okay. I think a good way to kick it off, since you are a teacher,
Hmm.
is what advice would you give somebody, since a lot of people seem to be going through an awakening right now? What would you say to somebody that has, like, for me personally, I felt like I was lost in the ocean when mine started until I found you. So, what advice, where would you tell people to start if they're going through their awakening?
Well, truthfully, I would go and read a lot and let stuff resonate and try to find a tribe, try to find a mentor. And if you ask yourself, if you ask the divine, if you ask God, you ask your guides to show you where to find your mentor, the right one that's for you. They will show it to you. They will guide you, and they will show. Um, it's like the old saying, once the student is ready, the master will appear. It's the same way. So if you ask, then your guides know that you are ready and you are willingly um, ready to go to the next step. But reading, I found that when I was going through my major one, because we go through many, there isn't just one that we go through, but there is always one major one. I found that reading, paying attention to what people say, asking for advice of my guides, asking for clues, synchronicity, and it just step by step you find your way. Yeah.
So, for reading, do you have a favorite starting point, like a favorite book that you? I know it's probably a million of them you like, but like that really starting out point, what would
Wow.
you say?
Wow. That is hard to say because there's so many good books out there right
Hmm.
now. When I started, there was like maybe 10 good books. So, but if you feel you're more connected to the Native American, you go to a Native American type of background. If you feel you're more connected witchy wise, of course, you go more to like Cunningham and them that have some guidance. There are a lot of books that are just spiritual in nature, and sometimes you may just have to sit in front of a shelf in the library, the old library, and just sit there and look at what they have. Maybe something calls out to you, and that's where you need to start.
Right. And so I'm also, and then as your student, I'm always wondering. Like, I know you was able to see and talk since you were really little.
Mhm.
When did you know you were meant to heal people and open up your own store to do that?
Well, I knew I was meant to heal people somewhere in my when I was like 15.
Mhm.
At that point, 15. And in those times, you said you were seeing things and you were going to heal with energy, people
Mhm.
would think you're a little bit gone and, they would put you away and all that other stuff. So I just basically told my guides, find a way that I can help people without being so obvious. And it's just sometimes talking to somebody.
Mhm.
In When I was in my 30s, late 30s, I used to get the wake up call literally at two, the witching hour between 2 and 3, and then it would be like I've told you guys, all my sons, it would be like, okay, go to the Dunkin' Donuts. There's somebody there that just needs to chat, and I would
Right.
literally wake up, leave my children with my mother, go to the Dunkin' Donuts, and sit there. And I knew that that person just needed someone to notice them, just
Mhm.
enough time to make me change their mind, or redirect their thoughts from wanting to end it to, maybe there's hope.
Right.
So,
So, can you explain to some of our listeners out there that may not know why between 2 and 3 is the witching hour, and what does that mean, and why is it spirit tends to come through then versus other times more?
well, the witching hour, as it is called, is when the veil, although a lot of people say there isn't any, but there is, the veil is the thinnest. So the two dimensions, let's say, can interact and go from one to the other. So that is the best time for someone to go astral traveling, somebody who's alive, and that's the best
Mhm.
time for the spirit world to come and speak to you. Usually, I will get that call by an archangel. That's usually who will
Mhm.
wake me up. But they wake me up at any time, any place. They poke me like, excuse me, you got work to do. So, but that was there's always a representative that comes to you.
Mhm. Have you ever said no to said representative and had to deal with the consequences?
Yes, I have. And there is this certain archangel, which I just can't mention, just in case they decide to show up. Um, but I did say no one time, and they kept saying I had to move from Wayne, New Jersey, and I had to move to Pennsylvania. And I kept saying, no, my kids are in high school yet. My youngest is still going through school. I want them to remain with their friends. And so the only way that they found out that I would move was to have a hurricane cause damage to my house in Wayne. And I said, okay, I hear you. And I moved, and lo and behold, that area never had a problem again. Uh,
Lesson learned, huh?
oh, yes, yes, yes. So when they say to move, I'm usually like, oh, I hate moving, but okay. Where am I moving? Or if they say go to this place out of the blue, I go and I tell Larry, I said, they, we're going to go, say, in April to Florida. And he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, what for? I don't know yet. I just know that in April, get ready. We're going to go to Florida, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. And that's actually that's what happened in 2017. Um,
Wow.
yeah, in January we were talking, and I just said to him, we're going to Florida," and he's like, "Why?" And I said, "I don't know." And then 2 weeks later, I found out why. I had to go to this one event,
Mhm.
and I was just like, "Okay, there you go." It's a little crazy, but that's the way it is. So.
Very crazy. So, for our future mediums out there in the world that are just starting out, what would you say is your best way to grow your gifts?
Practice, but
Mhm.
make sure you protect yourself. So start off with calling in your guides and archangels, whoever, whatever deity you work with. Light a
Mhm.
candle, do sage, do Palo Santo, surround yourself with crystal. Really protect yourself, because if you're by yourself and you're just starting out, you may not know how to handle what's coming through.
Right.
And that's why I run those mediumship development classes. For anybody who's starting out, or anybody, whether you're just starting out or you're, advanced, and you keep practicing. We all keep developing. The clue about all this and the thing about all this is to always constantly keep moving forward, because once you stop, you kind of get stagnant. And then your gifts also can kind of get stagnant, no matter what gifts it is. And the more you develop it, the better understanding you have, and the better you do from joining all the different gifts.
hmm So Lisa just asked one of those classes, so maybe this will be a great time where you can tell everybody,
Yes.
because you have 3 during the week that you
Yeah.
do for sure.
Yes. So the mediumship classes, mediumship development classes are every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, Mandy. And that's for 2 hours, and it's on Zoom and in person. So if you can't make it in person, not to worry. And you know, we start off by practicing, and we continue different types of exercises. Now, this week we will have class. The week after we won't. So after, but after that we will, because I'm getting interviewed that night. So then Monday nights I do a Reiki clinic, and I stream that at 6 p.m. Eastern, and that's found on Facebook, on YouTube, on Conscious Awakening Network, um, almost almost everywhere, basically. And then on Friday nights, I do guided meditation at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's also on YouTube and Facebook, streamed on YouTube and Facebook. So you could grab it, and you could always go to YouTube at Glenda's Magical Creations, and you could find everything there. So,
So I noticed you mentioned, and some of the questions were, you mentioned protections.
yeah.
Is there a certain crystal that you would recommend if somebody wanted to shop for to get for protection?
The
That's
best
better.
type of crystal I always say for protection is anything that's black.
Mm-hmm.
Obsidian, black onyx, anything that's black. I don't care, because some people resonate better with certain type, some people resonate with other types. There is the clear crystal, clear quartz, of course, that's a universal crystal that's used for anything. But if you're going to go with something that's black. So.
Okay. And then I thought maybe we could swerve around and talk about this wonderful galactic family we got out there. Since, in the news and everything, they tend to be a hot topic. And I feel like a lot of times they don't get the credit they deserve. So since you are able to channel and communicate with them, is there something that you think you could tell the world that they would want the world to know that maybe the government is misconstruing?
Well, I don't know if it's the government or whoever, but I just know that their biggest message is we're here to help you, and you need our help. So basically, ask, because they still will not, they don't want to intervene. But we,
Mm-hmm.
we are in the times, rough times, where a lot of disturbances are occurring, and they don't want us to repeat history again, where Mother Earth decides to get rid of all the pests, and we're the pests. And then she's fine. She will continue forever, and then
Mm-hmm.
new population comes in.
And I see that I read that there's a lot of different types, like kind of like different types of humans. There's different, let's say, races of extraterrestrials. Can you maybe talk about a few? I know there's a lot, but maybe like ones that you work with, maybe,
Okay,
or
well,
talk to.
I work with so Galactic family from Sirius. I work
Mhm.
with Arcturians. Um, I I work with almost all of them, but those are the two that I work the most with. Just trying to think if there's any one that really stands out. I do work with um, councils, which are representatives. So kind of like a round table, and each race has a
Mhm.
representative, not just galactic, but also um, beings in general. Some are archangels, some are ascended masters, some are
Mhm.
galactic by nature. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So we have a question. Is there something in the atmosphere that is making people have heightened senses, if I could talk, or being called to do mediumship, etc. right now? That's a great question.
Yes, it is. Well, right now we're needed. Right now is when the time for humanity to start opening their gifts, and all of our gifts are needed so we as humans can continue to exist. um, we also need those gifts to help us go into the fifth dimension, ascend to the next level. And just for the record, ascending to the next level doesn't mean that we're going to physically be there. It's all going to be within us. We're going to sense different things. We're going to be able to see different dimensions. We're going to be able to see different realities. And we're going to be moving away from the density of this 3D reality that we're in, to a higher, more spiritual, more loving type of existence. So,
Do you have any advice for somebody that might want to figure out what gifts they have? Like, you know,
well,
what's best for them?
you start with certain classes like mediumship. You start looking into, um, or even get in touch with me. I could help you with that also. You start with looking at descriptions, like if somebody's an empath. Okay, nobody used to know what an empath meant, but now we know. The more we talk about it, the more we know. An empath is somebody who can feel everything. You can feel the other person's feelings. You could feel the pet's feelings. You could feel how they are. If they're sick, you may get sick because they're sick. You can feel if there's a spirit around you also. It isn't just, living things. It's also things that are dead. You can feel if you're going into a building and there's something not right. You feel that. And you may feel even sick to your stomach. So those kinds of gifts are easy to describe, and the as I call the symptoms of it is you could list them and then just check, 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 and you're like, oh, okay, I'm pretty much that.
So, how could somebody, almost like calm down, like they don't want to feel it right now,
Right.
like they just need a break? How can they like shut that down for a moment and then come back?
Well, what I tell people, which I've had to do, especially if I could see everything all the time, or I know if I walk into hospitals, I have to shut it down,
Hmm.
because then everybody will know, or the dead people know that you're there, and they're like, oh, we need to get a word in. We need to do this. We need to do that. So, what I do is I just mentally see a light switch and I just turn it off, and
Hmm.
then that automatically puts a wall around me. So all the feelings of everyone, everything that I can see and everything hits that wall, but it doesn't hit me. So it's kind of like a bubble where people
Hmm.
say a bubble of protection. For me, it's a bubble of just wall, so I don't experience anything. I know it's there.
Right.
I could tell you, okay, that person died, that's dead is there, but I won't necessarily have to acknowledge it or anything. I could just walk in and walk out
Hmm.
without being overwhelmed, because
Yeah.
there's certain places that are like if you go near the morgue, that's not a good.
Hmm.
You have to turn those gifts down.
Yeah, I bet. Next question is, what's your recommendation when you have multiple gifts?
Well, work them together. Okay, the gifts are given to you, and it isn't one or the other. So you can literally work all the gifts together. So, say for example, um, mediumship, okay, and channeling, and being able to actually see apparitions, see ghosts, see spirits. Um, I put all those together and helped me grow tremendously. When I was working as a paralegal, I would use all my gifts, including intuition and everything, so I could do the cases and write them up really good. Because maybe I'm looking through something and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, and look. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait. Didn't I see? And then I go back and look, and it just tells me where to go. So there's nothing in this life that says you could use, you only have to use one of your gifts. Use them all, combine them. And that will not only will make you more spiritually inclined, but it will raise your vibrations, because then you're actually being grateful for all the gifts that you received. Because, right, there's just for us to use in this lifetime, in this incarnation. So we get them, and if we don't use them, it's kind of like we're saying, oh, I'm ungrateful, I don't want it. It's like a person who can play any instrument they want without ever taking classes. Okay, they're very musically inclined, and they could just play whatever melody without ever going to a single class. If they take that gift and never use them, they're being ungrateful. So all the other gifts start to shut down too, no matter what it is. It could be, that's a gift of healing, because when you can play music or you can sing or you do art or anything, that's a healing form. It's not, say, Reiki or anything else like that, but it is a form of healing. Somebody looks at a picture or a painting and they just, they resonate so much that they brings them tears. And that's how you, so use them all at the same time. There's no need to stop one or the other.
Yeah. It's gotta be amazing to have multiple gifts. Glenda.
You all do. We all do. It's,
that brings a great backup question. I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you.
that's okay.
Would you say that everybody has gifts?
Yes, everybody has gifts. They may not realize it or acknowledge it or are afraid to even go near them because of the upbringing. When we were younger, we used to get told, "Oh no, you see ghosts? That's the devil. That's demonic,
Mhm.
or you're crazy." So that's in back of the head, and sometimes we're afraid to use those gifts. We're afraid to even acknowledge them. We're afraid to um, just use them or even admit to, because we don't want people to say we're crazy or we're working in the demonic form or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Another chat question is, if you go into a building and feel like something is behind you, is that usually a spirit or am I just spooking myself?
oh, sorry, Mandy, that's somebody behind you. But what you should do is you say, if you want to talk to me, I'm willing to talk to you, but you got to show yourself in front of me. And then this way you don't get that eerie feeling. So it's all, oh no, so you don't get that eerie feeling though.
The hair on the back of your neck
Yeah.
standing up.
So
Um, so another topic that a lot of people would like to know about is, because it's talked about a lot now, is Akashic records. Can you tell us what they are and how does one kind of access them? Can you
Okay.
access them yourself?
Okay. Akashic records, I describe them like old filing cabinets, and every filing cabinet has a few drawers, and each file folder, say, is a lifetime or an experience, depending on how many lifetimes you've had. And you just go and you access them. Okay, I want to know why I'm so afraid of water, for example. So you find out in this lifetime or in previous lifetimes when there was a trauma with water. And you can then use that information to help you manage your fears in this lifetime. That's one of the things that people do for the Akashic records. Now, yes, you can access your Akashic records yourself.
Mhm.
Um, Usually, I do train people to do that, and usually it's done the first few times. It's done with me, so you can be safe and you can know step by step by step. But then later on, you could do that yourself. You could just go in and say, okay, I'm afraid of the dark, so every single room has to have the light on. That's a little, strange. And you find out from your mother that you have been the same way since you were born. All your lights had to be on. So you want to find out why. And obviously, since it didn't happen, and not, it appears that nothing happened in this lifetime, probably one in the past lifetime. So then you will go in there and you get your answers. And then you could work through it and heal yourself, heal your old that person or that lifetime, that trauma, to bring then the healing to the present. So,
Nice. Mhm.
hmm it is good,
And
and
everybody,
everybody has it. By the way,
yes.
it's like what they call the book of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Just it keeps all of your lifetimes, all of your experiences
So are you
in there.
able to see something and then change it? Does that fall into the free will kind of thing? Or
Uh,
is it like already set out in stone kind of? How does that work?
No, no. It's usually you see the stuff that's in the past. You
Okay.
can see stuff in the future, but there is that free will thing. You could, things can change. So if you continue on your path, and as it is at this very moment, say, I'm using this as an example, people. It's not really hard. I'm just using this as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You see that you're going to get in trouble, and you're going to get yourself into a big car accident. Okay, because of whatever trouble you caused, you were driving really fast and whatever. You can then say, okay, um, at this all started, say, at the supermarket. So on that day, at that time, you make sure you don't go to the supermarket if you don't want all that experience to occur. And then you see why it is. Why did you go to the supermarket at that day, at that time? And what happened? Is it caused by somebody else? And if it's caused by somebody else, then it's easy to change, right? Because then you just make sure that you're not there at the same time.
Right.
And then that kind of thing. But if it's something that you did and you caused, you could just say, you know what? No, that's okay. I'm going to change. I'm going to make sure that I don't do that. I don't create that chaos for myself. So.
Someone says they have a fear of heights and deep water. Me too. I don't do heights.
Well, it's sometimes a little hard to manage those fears, but or as they call those phobias, but
Hmm.
they can be managed, and with proper advice and proper healing, you can take those steps step by step by step, and before you know it, you're doing everything that you need to do and that you wanted to do probably, and you haven't been able to. So fear always stops us. But if you fuel your courage with that energy instead, you'll be able to just manage it and take those steps that you need to do to get there. So, and once you jump out of a moving airplane, one time you'll feel that rush and you'll be fine. You'll be wanting to do it again. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
When you're doing your readings or have done readings in the past, do you have a favorite, like, I guess, tool? I know there's like pendulums, there's oracle cards, there's tarots, and I know a lot of people not sure what to use, what not to use. Do you have any insight on what you like, or?
Well, I like all the tools. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've always said, I call it. I have a toolbox, and all my tools go in there because I never know which tool is best for me for that day and for the person that's in front of me. Most of the times, I use one of my tarot cards just to let the person put their energy into them, so then I could read their energy. For example, when I do readings, even though I use tarot cards and I can teach tarot readings and all that other stuff, I just all of a sudden the energy speaks to me as to what it is that that person is looking for, what answer they're looking for, what direction they're looking for. And the cards become, I don't even look at them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just getting that feeling and that energy. And then I'm receiving people who come that are loved ones that are there to speak for the family or speak for the person that is in front of me, the client. So,
Right. Do
but
you have a favorite form of protection that you use when you're going to do a reading?
I always start with a prayer in my own type of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to have a candle. I like to have a crystal, and I call my team, as I say. My team is always there, and all I have to do is say, "Okay, I need whoever wants to come down. This is what I need." So that kind of thing.
How does one find their team? Or I know a lot of people ask, how do you find the name of your spirit guide? Do you just ask, or is it
Well, okay, there you're born. Every single person is born with six guides.
six?
Yes,
Wow.
they're with you from the time that you're born to the time that you die. Okay, you actually signed them up before you even came into this world. When you were deciding what you came here for in this lifetime, for example, they all signed up. Also, okay, we're going to be your guides for this six um, six of them for this lifetime. Then you also have those that are passerbys that just for that moment or that problem or that time period in your life that come in and try to give you advice. And then you have others like, say, for example, when my grandmother passed away, she became one of my guides because she wanted to do that. So then from the point that she passed away till the end of the time that I pass away, she's going to remain. Why six?
Mm-hmm.
Because they decided there was six? I have no idea. I'm not privy to that one, Paula, but there are six that you are all that are always with you. So one is like say a healer, and one is um, the person who brings the messenger. One is the one that keeps you joy in your life, that kind of thing. So there's five of them, and they always are directing you. When you were a young child, you used to have joy and you used to play and you used to not really see all the negative in the world. Um, you that little joy guide, it stays with you, and every once in a while when you are, say, depressed, a person is depressed or sad or whatever, or going through something, that joy guide will try to bring some little bit of joy into your life, whether you're grieving, whether you're having a rough day. Could just be in a form of somebody smiling at you, holding the door to you. And that just brings that little bit of joy that makes you then continue going with your day.
Hmm. I was told I have two wolves as spirit guides. So what do they represent?
They represent that you're very connected with wolves. You like to be in packs. So wolves are very good at direction. They're very good to keep you protected because you become part of the pack. You become part of the family. Even if it's just one, you're still connected to that animal. So if you go near dogs or wolves, most likely they're going to be um, friendlier with you instead of, if somebody who isn't really connected to wolves or dogs, you can then you will be able to communicate with them easier, and they could talk to you easier. They could direct you easier. Wolves are very protective. So, Lisa, you got protection. Uh, uh,
I've only met three of my guides, but my grandma is also one.
yes.
Do you think a lot of people get our past loved ones as guides?
A lot of the times we do, especially if we're really connected to them while they're alive.
Hmm.
Um, when my grandmother, like I said, when she was alive, I was very close to her. I could do no wrong. Out of all her grandkids, I could do absolutely no wrong. I could I could wear her stuff. I could go out and jump in the mud, whatever. I could do no wrong. Um, so we were always very connected. She would always trying to teach me things, uh, cooking, knitting, sewing, all that stuff. And so when she passed away, I was already older. I was in my 20s. She became one of my guides because of that. I
That's
know it.
awesome. Love it.
Mandy, you when I do the Meet Your Guides class, you come, and then we'll get you to meet your other three guides. Uh,
Do you have any new exciting classes for 2024 coming up
well,
you can talk about yet, or
well,
on the lookout?
right now we're just starting the new tarot, which will
Hmm.
start next Tuesday, actually. So that's for a year and a half, basically, classes. And the students, as you well know, Ashley, you'll learn tarot inside out,
Hmm.
but using your instinct, using your gifts to read, not just the meaning of the cards.
Right,
So you will be able to use your guides, you'll be able to use the energy, and it isn't just what the meaning of the card is.
right.
So right now, that's the only one that I really can talk about because the other ones are in the works, but
Gotcha.
they're going to be coming up. Like let's see, some are going to be having to do with colors.
Mm,
So some of
nice.
them are having to do with essential oils. Some of them will have some herbs.
Hmm.
So I'll be teaching some of that stuff.
Nice. We have a couple of questions, but to finish off on the tarot, can you explain to people that are starting out also, like especially like me too, what's the difference in like tarot? Then you have oracle cards, you have angel cards, and I know there's a lot more, but like
Well,
what is the biggest difference?
well, the biggest difference between oracle cards and tarot cards is tarot cards are more serious.
Okay.
Okay, oracle cards are more jovial. They're more uh like butterflies versus wolves.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And people see tarot cards are sometimes scarier, but
Right.
it's just the picture, not the meaning.
Just wanted to throw that out there because I saw that question so that they know the difference.
Yes.
Question in the chat is, how do we find out who our spirit guides?
Well, the way I do it is I actually put you guys through a deep meditation where you will actually be introduced to your spirit guides. Um, and the class, I'll explain all about each one of them, and each meditation that I do, because I do 3 meditations, will get you to meet two of your guides. So it'll be two for each meditation. And the class usually lasts about 3 hours, sometimes a little longer, depending on, how many people there are. And if I notice while I'm doing that and I'm guiding you through that people are not really connecting, then it takes a little longer. But it's basically you go in and I put you into very deep meditation, very very deep, where you meet your guides all together, and you will get to know them, how they look, how they smell, because every each one of them has a different scent. So you'll know when they're there. If you smell that scent, you'll know that it's them. Their name, you'll get to know what their favorite color is. So if, for example, my speaking of smell, one of my great grandfathers used to smoke pipe, and every single time I smell that, I know that it's him. So that's how you know. And also, you'll be able to know how they look, the description of them. So if you happen to see a whole bunch of fairies, and your joy guy loves fairies, and all of a sudden you go into a garden and you see fairy statues and fairy this and fairy motif and little fairies also, then you'll know that your spirit guide is trying to tell you to have joy, to have fun, and you'll know that they're around.
So we talked about how we talk to our spirit guides and all the good side. What is your advice on somebody that might have a different kind of attachment and not so good in their home right now?
Well, it depends on what kind of attachment in their home. For example, if it's something that the spirit is just angry, um, and I've seen this often because I get called for this type of stuff, where spirits get instigated and they get very upset, they get very angry because they're being disrespected and all that. Then I go in there and I kind of talk to them, and that's something that you need someone who does that.
Mhm.
You really, it's very hard to do it yourself.
Mhm.
You could calm them down by saying, okay, I'm going to do Palo Santo and sage and all that stuff. You could calm them down that way, but you can't just straight up get rid of them, because some of them you can't
Right.
get rid of. Some of them are attached to the land, some of them are attached
Mhm.
to the house, and that, the only thing you can do is then try to find common ground so everybody can live in peace. Yeah.
So would you just suggest somebody like reach out to a mentor to find somebody to come help them, or
I
how does one ask for help?
Right. I would reach out to someone who's had experience,
Mhm.
um, just to check around and see exactly what it is first, because not everything that goes wrong in your house is done by a spirit, first of all. And not everything that could go wrong that is done by a spirit, it means that the spirit is chaotic or demonic, that everybody likes to use that word. It could just
Mhm.
be that the person is trying to get your attention. It could be a loved one that doesn't like you with the mate that you have right now, or what you're doing in life at that moment, or the direction that you're heading. And they're trying to like say, hey, stupid, get over here. Stop. Get back on the road. Go back to school. Go back to your studies. Go back to your path. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. How would you recommend someone? Do you recommend somebody to like, let's say you don't have an attachment, but you want to keep your house cleansed and happy?
right.
What do you have any recommendations for that?
Well, I recommend that you have somebody come and bless your house.
Okay.
And this way, your house remains in that state.
Mhm.
Because you bring every single day you go out, you could bring some energy back with you. Doesn't mean a spirit, doesn't mean anything, but so you bumped into somebody who's been having a really rough day and they're really angry and they're shouting and all that, and you just bring that energy back with you. Now that
Mhm.
energy multiplies and feeds whatever spirits may be there, without you even knowing. So this way, you just keep doing it. I usually recommend that you bless your house and then you
Mhm.
follow it up with some saging or using Palo Santo throughout the house, or like I do my own little squirty
Mhm.
thing, and I tell people use just one squirt in every room, or
Mhm.
once in the front of the house, in the back of the house. Doesn't have to be every single. It really is concentrated, so you don't need a lot. But it just keeps everything calm and more peaceful, more positive, and it keeps everything in the light. Another thing I tell people is declutter, because
Mhm.
without you realizing, the dark will continue to live in the dark. But if you
Mhm.
declutter, everything is brighter. So there's no place for the dark to hide.
Mhm. I like that.
It's reality. I mean,
Yeah, so a few family members that.
well, it's sometimes hard because you do accumulate a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And, you especially, you have children, so you accumulate a lot of toys. So, but that's, at some point you're going to have to continue to just declutter. Like if you don't need it, you don't use it, and it's just creating a dead space. It's time to donate it. It's time to let it go.
Mhm.
Um, you know, it's a process. It's not a one time deal. You continuously do it, and you'll see the difference in your energy, the flow of energy. Like feng shui, the flow of energy just continues to be positive because you're doing that, because you're
Mhm.
rearranging the furniture just right, because you're rearranging every room depending on where it is just right. So it creates a flow of energy. So
People are saying they've been doing that a lot since New Year's.
spring cleaning early. Always. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. I took a break for New Year's, but I'm starting up again. So
Yeah. So with all so okay, so we got our house. We're feeling good in our
yeah.
house. How can we raise our own vibrations personally within ourselves?
Well, you can meditate. Take 5 minutes for yourself. And when I say meditate, doesn't have to be you could literally put any song that you like that really resonates and gets you going, gets you in a very joyous place. For me, I put Pitbull, anything of Pitbull, and I put my earplugs on, and I could be doing housework, and I get into such a great uh, energy level because I'm not putting myself down. I don't, I also compliment myself. You did a great job. I don't need to hear it from anybody else. Yeah, if somebody else tells me, great, fine. But I know that I did a good job. I know that I am good enough. And I keep telling myself that also. Meditation, do something for yourself. Even if it's taking, getting up, because I used to do it. My kids will get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to school. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have that cup of coffee with nobody around. In my own little thing, I would, be able to drink the coffee nice and slow and just breathe and let go of all the energies that may have accumulated from the day before that are still lingering. And I just let release that. So there's a lot of different ways, but definitely you got to give yourself some time to do something that you like. And that will bring you joy, and that will bring you more courage, and that will bring you more positive energy. So one by one, it all adds up. I used to buy myself flowers.
Mhm.
Where in between relationships, every Friday I would go get flowers, put it on my desk, and then take them home. It was great. And everybody like, oh, wait, who gave you this? Me. You bought yourself flowers? Yeah, why not? They made me joyous. I loved
Mhm.
the smell. I loved to look at it. And it was something that I did for myself. So
Yes. Do you think that in order for us to ascend, and even going back to growing our gifts, this was a question. Do you feel like shadow work, and I know you teach a self love class, do you feel like that is a very important before you can grow your gifts, that you have to really like focus on that first, or
I think
what do you
we
think?
all do shadow work constantly. I think we need to
Mm-hmm.
continue to go back to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Find what we need to acknowledge those feelings, acknowledge what occurred, and then release it. Work through it. And I think once you start releasing it, you'll feel lighter, more empowered, and you'll feel more like yourself. You'll start to release all those negative little dots that are all over your body, and those pieces of the soul will start to come back slowly. So you'll be back to being complete. So it's it's all step by step, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I do too much," but it all really has to do with making the person whole, making yourself complete, to be your true self, the one that you are truly are, not the one that unfortunately was born and then society and your traumas and everything uh, banged you a few times, and now you have a ding here and a bent here and maybe a cut here, and we put you all back together. So then you can take it from there and be complete and not have to deal with all the past anymore. It's there. It's already happened. We just release it and release the energy that's holding us down and blocking our growth, our evolution.
Thank you for letting me pick your brain.
Hey, you're welcome. Uh, anything else?
I was gonna ask last about 2024, but I've already been answered. We're doing tarot.
I'm going to start with that one. And then,
hmm
once I finish the Archangel class, then I'll start
hmm
something else. But,
Do you have any? Are you going to any panels or anything, or is that still kind of working
well,
too?
I'm still working on that. I am being interviewed tomorrow, actually, at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on Facebook also. So I already put it on my wall so anybody could access the link there. Then we're going to be doing the mediumship class. Don't worry, guys. I'll be there by 7.
Oh, we do have another question.
Uh-huh.
How do you know when you are ready to go out on your own and start doing readings or mediumship for money?
When you practice, and practice. A lot of the students that I have taught in the past years, um, they start out with just doing small readings. They do like 3 card readings or 5 card readings just to get their practice, just to get their gifts going and really developed. And then once they do the class and they go out and do that, they could tell the difference in doing it to those readings for people they don't know. Because a lot of the times we do readings, but we do it between our students. So this way they could practice and nobody feels, um, you know, a shame or doubt themselves or anything like that. Because the more you practice, the better you are. I believe if spirit calls you, you'll know when you're ready to go out there and start doing readings. I was doing it not for money, but I was doing it for almost all my life. And it's just, it always sounded like, do you want to hear what I'm getting? And that's how it starts. And you just stop doubting yourself.
How would you relay maybe not so good news in a reading?
Well, not so good news. I try not to do any health readings because I'm not the doctor. Okay, so that I'm usually, but if I see that it's very important for you to go see a certain type of doctor, or oh, I feel you've been getting pains in your stomach, maybe you should just have that checked out. Doesn't mean that it's bad, but it means that maybe it's a good idea to have it checked out, and it could be taken care of right away. But I don't do you're dying because we're all dying. I try not to do unless spirit is really pushing, your mate or your other half is cheating on you or anything like that. I just try to keep it more positive because there's always that free will involved. And if the person that's in front of me may not be willing to hear that their spouse is cheating, they have to ask the question directly. And then if their guides tell me it's okay, then I'll tell them. So, hi Connor, Paranormal Connections.
Hey.
So, if anybody wants to contact me, you can do that at my website, which I'll show you. It's glendasmagicalcreations.com. I answer all emails also, by the way. So you could just go there and send me a message, and they'll come to me as an email. And I do read all my emails, and I do respond to all of them. Then there's also on Facebook. You could find me there. Yes, I am Glenda the Witch there. I have my YouTube channel right there, Glenda's Magical Creations. I really, almost everywhere you could find me. And then you could join my meetup, which is where all of the classes and events appear in one complete list. So you can find yourself there and just do everything that you need to do. Look at the website, look at all the events, look their pricing, and all that other stuff. Now, Mandy,
Somebody's asked about pricing.
Yes, Mandy. Yes, my website has some of the pricings because I do so much that not everything is listed yet. I'm been the one working on my website, and sometimes technology and I don't agree. So, but it gets there. Eventually, it gets up there. I do have a lot of the prices there. I do have some of the stuff that I do. I don't put up everything. So if you're looking for something specific, contact me directly and I could tell you. And Mandy, if you're looking for the tarot thing, I could send you the link to it because it starts on next Tuesday. So, and it's come time to the end, Ashley.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Ashley. You were great. I love everyone. And as always, love you too, Paula. As always, love you and many blessings. See ya. Bye.